our first dialogue of the day, I'd like to call Mr. Sudhir Mishra, founder and managing director, Trust Legal, for sharing his insights on the evolution of first generation lawyers into successful professionals. His topic for the day is Journey from Pride to Gratitude of a First Generation Blockbuster Lawyer. Let's give him a big round of applause.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Rahman. Really kind of Dr. Batra and you to say such good words. So I presume I'm the opening batsman today. There is no reference point for me. I have some points to share, which I'll talk about my legal journey, whatever I have seen from close quarters in the legal fraternity in last 20 years. My generation, which came out of law schools in 97, 98, had a time when profession was actually treated as more something where skill sets were being tested. It was never a job at that time. So you never had this concept of any job which you are supposed to do. You were basically supposed to be a professional who needed to be trained. The chambers were the only place where you were trained, or if you have any reason to join, maybe 3 or 4 big firms were there at that time. Few of them are not existing anymore because all the big firms which we talk about today have evolved in last 20 years. So there were very few opportunities for a person like me who had no background to say in the legal fraternity. I came from a schooling where I had barely 60% from Bihar in a place called Siwan. I had 63% physics, chemistry, maths in my class 12 from a place called Banka. I could get in the last list of Delhi University in graduation in 89 in history honors with a lot of effort in Deshbandhu College. I was repeatedly being told that you'll not be able to survive in Delhi because you can't speak even proper Hindi, forget English. And after 3 years of tuitions in the evening, a lot of very difficult type to start with, very difficult, where you had to really almost eat the same kind of food every day because there were no hostels in South Delhi colleges. And against a system where you were always being told that you will not be able to do it. And then you pass out your college and finally you top the college, you break all records in Mughal India. And you finally start preparing for civil services, which is something like if you're from North India, you're from the Ganga Basin, you have to do it as a pilgrimage. So I was preparing for civil services. I didn't clear it. In the meantime, I was doing law from Campus Law Center, Delhi University. I had no interest in law. And I would be amongst few people who almost till 1998, 1999 had no focus. So I was interviewed for IAS in 1998 after 4 or 5 years of spending my time in preparing for civil services. I didn't clear it, and finally I was left to decide what I'm supposed to do. And I think by much reluctance I came to legal profession, and it was a big shock because nobody was willing to take me. I failed to join any leading chamber or a law firm, and we had a compulsory training program in 1998-99. I had to go through that training program. We had a 1-year compulsory training program. After the training program, I started on my own. I had a deep interest in environmental issues right from my graduation. And when I was doing law, I was also partially helping the Environmental Law Society as a secretary of Campus Law Center. So I took it as more as a career, environmental law. And I was told that this is not sexy enough. You may not succeed in this. There is no practice called environmental law. Only handful of people were doing pollution and other stuff. Against that backdrop, I started advising few NGOs. It was everyday survival issue. You have to have enough money to put on in your scooter and go back home. So that was the journey. But the long and short is that in 2005, I was taken in International Visitors Leadership Program of US government. It's the highest opinion making program. And I never looked back. I believe all the companies and the corporates have started coming. I never felt the need after 5 years or 6 years of intensive working, where I will say perseverance and hard work. And as Kabir says that Jadmat hoye sujan, the more you practice, the more you work hard, even a patthar can change, even a stone can change. So I think that was time when I was traveling from one national park to another national park, filing one public interest litigation for one NGO in one high court and traveling to another high court. Had reasonable money to survive and a lot of self-confidence, I would say. So first generation lawyering happened more by compulsion and disruption on a daily basis, changing your methods, asking yourself in the mirror, challenging your ability became a daily routine for me. 2009, I was much saturated. I had traveled more than 250 to 300 national park wildlife sanctuaries, was appearing in 11 to 12 high courts regularly in all the leading environmental matters, primarily on wildlife and forest, was advising some of the smaller corporates at that time. And I realized that there was a talk around me that you need to have a commercial success. You need to have a larger commercial success. Otherwise, you'll be known only as a cholawala activist kind of lawyer. I think that triggered a very different kind of response in me. I got briefly associated with a firm on a consultancy basis. And by 2011, I started looking at a situation where I'll have a mainstream firm, which will be completely different from what practice I was doing for almost 10 or 12 years on my own. Again, this was all self-taught. There was no particular guidance from anybody, save and except few senior advocates who were very fond of me. And I can say that in last 10 years, I will say my 20 years of practice, 10 years was intensive environmental lawyering, from district courts to opposing the bail applications of poachers, to filing class action suits, appearing in the forest bench, assisting the amicus, traveling around the world on environmental issues, to continue doing it and create a mainstream firm, which today is one of the largest media broadcasting music copyright law firm of the country. So that transition happened because I realized that I need reverse mentoring and some kind of training. And that training happened with the younger lawyers who joined me in 2010 onwards. And those were the lawyers who had a different work ethics. And I was very fortunate that some of them who are my partners today and who are almost 15, 16, 18 years younger, they do reverse mentoring, reverse training of mine, more than what I teach them. And today, whether it's a leading house, any corporate house in the country, the top 3 or top 4, we advise all of them on an equal basis. So the climate change, environment, regulatory, and the forest wildlife practice stays where even law firms come to us for tricky environmental advices. And we position and we create newer sub-practice areas out of the environment and climate change. At the same time, because we are so driven, whether it's a cryptocurrency registration or a gaming issue, filing an intervention in the Supreme Court, or doing an infrastructure arbitration, or doing the litigation of the year as per the India Business Law Journal, we have done it all in the last 10 years. We are a 37th law firm as per the RSG consulting listing. And I would say some of the characteristics which you need to have in order to do a blockbuster first generation lawyering. And the most important aspect would be your connect, how you connect with people, how real you are, what is your value system, how much humbleness you have, how much gratitude you have, how much you think about money. I think that I was stunned that something echoed by Rajiv Luthra so nicely said that money is the last thing which should come to your mind. In fact, when I started practice, I told my mother, I was staying in a LIG flat in Shalimar Bagh. I told my mother, one day in this city, I will have a new scooter and I'll have a new small flat. I failed to buy the scooter. I failed to buy the flat. I made a house at 34. I stay in that house. So I think the less you are focused and rigid and जड़ता पैसे के बारे में कम होगी, उतना ज्यादा सक्सेस आपको मिलेगा. I think the shift in 2000 and 2020 is that in 2000, even if you are doing a job, you are joining somebody, your main aim was to be skilled up, to learn, to make a difference to the society, because this is a skillful game. Lawyering is a skill set enhancement issue. It's not a job. And in 2020, when you get an internship application also, an intern at 18 years of age asks how much you will pay. I think there's some confusion somewhere. I know there are a number of interns in my office who have joined in last 5 years. We pay most of them without them asking. But if they start asking in their internship letter that how much you'll pay, I know their priority is something else and their money issue is so prominent in their mind. Similarly, the way we interact with client, we focus in resolving their issue. We give it a personal touch. We connect deeply. We have an empathy towards them. I think these are the characteristics which you have to develop, and you can't really compete in a world where others are practicing more. So it's like a game of violin, game of football, game of cricket, painting. Law is like that. That's why they say practice. So if you practice less, if you will find the work-life balance, if you're obsessed about the work-life balance, you will practice less. And the less you will practice, the less you will be successful. And there is nothing like silver spoon. I have nothing against the third generation lawyering or the first generation lawyering. The rules of the game are same for everybody. You have to challenge yourself in the mirror every morning. You have to ask the same uncomfortable question: have I improved? Am I the better version of myself what I was last day? And if you have that answer, you are in a very good situation. So what motivates me? If I today, from a person who started in 99 on a rugged Priya scooter, with sometimes buying white shirts to look nice from Janpath, which were mostly second-hand, today amongst being the top 2,000 professional taxpayer in the country, I think the biggest lesson is money hardly motivates me. I'm not interested in money as such. It is a good mean to run my office efficiently, whether it's a pandemic, whether it's a downturn, whether it's an upturn. Be ethical, be a disruptor, have a value system, practice that value system, fight with your negativity, and visualize what you want to achieve in life. I think some of these qualities will give you a huge edge. Your knowledge, your schooling, your college, your marks will decide. But your friends, your company, your innermost thoughts will decide that the university of hard knocks, which the legal profession is, I will call it a university of hard knocks, where the doors will not open very easily for success. It's not MBA, it's not IIT. There are thousands and thousands of law students come out, and with due respect to all the major law schools, what they tell them that they all will join A-list law firms. We don't have that many jobs. So rather than chasing the jobs, chase excellence, chase aspiration, chase enhancement of a skill set. Then the University of Hard Knocks, the University of Hard Knocks, which the legal profession is, will give you way, will allow you in. This is what I have been telling, that if it is a question here, how you will create a huge practice is a reflection of your personality. If you like something, you'll do that very efficiently. But if you like something and you dislike something and you do, that is your commitment. You need nothing less than commitment to have an exceptional practice like Harish Salve or Rajiv Lutha or Mr. P.S. Narsingh. So this is what I want to share. I will be very happy to take questions actually.
Mine, sir. Thank you so much for sharing your valuable insights. And in fact, I quite like the term University of Hard Knocks. That actually sums up what's happening in the legal fraternity so well, so pointedly put. And speaking of hard knocks, sir, in the virtual era now, how do students or young lawyers wade their way through these doors?
Yeah, Ashima, this is a very important question. I believe that when we all close down in the month of March, even a person like me, and I'm being honest with you, Ashima, despite being a first generation lawyer, I've never used a laptop. because I never knew how to use technology very well. When BlackBerry arrived, it made my life a little easier. Before that, I used to go to the typing pool in the High Court or Tisajari and sit there and get my stuff typed. So I am from that generation, which was 1940s, but I straight away came to 2000 with that kind of skill set. So when I'm talking about a skill set, I've used it to myself. So, but I was very lucky that my dictations were good, and the dictations were the part of the study pattern which I had in UPSC. When you're studying for 2300 of examination and you're being interviewed for IAS, that one thing which I was very reluctant to talk about. I used to feel bad when I'll cross UPSC that I didn't clear this. Now, when I cross UPSC, I really salute them. Thank God that I'm into something where it's very vibrant. I'm too happy. I'm doing a bigger contribution to the nation. In March, when this happened, I can only tell you, Ashima, if I'm efficiently talking to you today, it's because I've learned a little bit of technology. And at barely 50, which I have touched this year, I think if I can learn it, and even my man Friday, who helps me with tea and other thing, even he knows how to use it. I think technology is not the issue. Nothing has changed, whether it's pandemic, whether it's a screen we are relating to, whether we are virtually meeting. It's the content. It's the content which is the key. So if you see your story, Shraddha Sharma making one small interview of 2 minutes, or Belinda Gates Foundation doing one important release, or for that matter, yours truly who has 65,000 followers on LinkedIn, if I do one release, ordinarily I get a 60,000 to 75,000 views immediately. So what you are writing there, like University of Hard Knocks, you like the word. I heard it somewhere in one of the teachings. And I realized it's a very nice word. It's like hard knock. You keep on knocking. You say, he's not recruiting me. Now I'll tell you, we are the firm which is recruiting during the pandemic also. So there are people who write politely. And the second time they write little more. Third time they say, you have read my message, but you haven't replied. They are exposed. Judgment is given. So how will you expect me to interview that person? So this is so easy. And similarly, if I put a question on virtual world, how I am interviewing, what are your 3 strengths? What are your 3 weaknesses? What have you done which you think that you should join Trust Legal? Then I'll ask how much you want and how much you want to get. The moment I say how much you want to get, that will be the toughest question for them and easiest way for me to judge what is their personality related to.
That's true, sir. And speaking of your social media presence, I think I'd really like to know what are your thoughts on lawyers having a social media presence, considering that's the way forward. But there is some conflict with the bar. So could you throw some light on that, sir?
So I will say, Ashima, that I totally believe that if this kind of situation, when everybody is on a social media, when I'm saying everybody means everybody who is talking about the bar also. I was always very clear when Facebook had arrived and others that I never will be on them, and I'm still not there. So you have to choose your social media. For a lawyer, it is very important. If a lawyer, and I'm giving a very big clue to all the youngsters who are listening, when we recruit, and I think most of the law firms are doing, they first go and check your Facebook profile. Now you have come all prim and proper for interview. Your Facebook profile shows something else. Now, how will you deal with that? So don't make it so easy. You don't have to tell it all. So for me, I don't know what is Instagram. I have never opened an Instagram account. I've never opened a Facebook account. I do have a symbolic Facebook account, but that was also created why I don't know. I have a LinkedIn account, which is my religion. I'm being honest with you. I learn from there. If I want to recruit, I recruit from there. I have internship. Everything happens around LinkedIn. But this is what Arjun wali baat. निशाना लगाना है तो एक चीज पे लगाइए. You can't be all over the place. So take a medium, whatever it is for you. Take the only medium where you will invest each and everything. That is what is about practice. So when I realized that I can't be recruited by any major law firm, I said, let's start my own queue. And when law became very fashionable, every major law firm wanted to marry us, that we become part of them. I didn't become part of them because I had no compulsion. So law firms started briefing me then. So you need to have your own queue, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, Live, performance, anything. Make your own queue. Be the Nawazuddin Siddiqui. People will come knocking at you.
Thank you so much, sir. I think that's quite rightly put. And thank you so much for sharing these tips. I hope our audience is listening and are getting on LinkedIn right away. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Ashma. Thank you.